Hello and welcome to Golden Geography. Today we're going to be thinking a little bit about changing spaces, making places, which is part of the OCR Geography A-Level specification. We're going to be thinking about key question 5, which is how are places created through the placemaking process. We're going to start with question 5a. Place is produced in a variety of ways at different scales. So, the concept of placemaking is really important. Placemaking is the process by which places are made or redeveloped. It is quite unusual to make a new place, so most places that go through the placemaking process are redeveloping or changing or re-establishing what that place is like. And the idea is that a place has a unique place profile or place identity, and it uses key characteristics like the demographics or culture or the built environment to try and build up that unique place identity. And governments are particularly interested in this because they want to present places to the rest of the world in order to attract inwards investment into those places, to get companies, businesses to invest in that place. So those places need to be interesting and attractive to investment. So what do? Well, they start with the built environment. You want your place to look nice and shiny. And we have a picture of the Shard here, which is a really good example of where architects and planners have worked together to create a really nice, interesting looking place. The job of architects is to design the building to make it interesting and stand out. And the jobs of planners are to make sure that it fits that environment, that it's suitable, that it works in that particular place. And when they work together, they can come up with really interesting designs that can change places. And particularly in big cities, some of these are leading to what we call 24-hour cities. Cities where people can work at any point of the day or night, where there's also cafes and restaurants that filter into that 24-hour city lifestyle. The other thing to consider are local groups and how they might want to make a place and develop that place. Community groups can be interested in their place and can be useful in helping it. It might be a community group that has a specific role or part to play. For example, in Notting Hill, they have a carnival each year, and the migrant communities that have come over in the past from parts of the Caribbean really kind of bring that culture and that vibe to that area. Or it might be promoting something like Pride, a Pride event, or even just a community forum that might take place. Community groups can be important and useful for people who live in the area to really have a say in what happens in that placemaking process and to get an idea of how their home, their place might change. 5b. The placemaking process of rebranding constructs a different place meaning through re-imaging and regeneration. So here we're thinking a little bit about re-imaging and regeneration. They're two important roles that tie into the rebranding of a place, making that place new and dynamic and different. So rebranding is coming up with a new way to present that place. And in order to do that, you've got to regenerate the landscape, the built environment, using architects and planners to make that place look better. But you also need a new image. You need to give a new twist to your place, and they tie together to rebrand. And a really good example of this is looking at places like London, where the Olympics were, or places like Manchester, where we have now the new digital city developing, places where once upon a time the area was quite empty or derelict, but now they have a new function and a new image that can attract investment. And you can use a range of strategies to do this. As a player involved, you might want to think about your place and pick 1, 2, 3 different strategies to try and help rebrand it and re-image it. You might want to go for multiple, because the more strategies you use, the more people you will attract to that place. You don't want to have too many, but the more you have, the greater diversity, the more likely it is to be successful. So that might be having the world's tallest building, or having a particular food product, champagne or pork pies that are tied into that place, Melton Mowbray pork pies and champagne from Champagne. Or it could be tying in an event like the Olympics to a historic building. These are things that can be used to really redevelop the place meaning of your place and attract people to it. You may also want to think a little bit about the players and how they're involved and where that money is going to come from. You will or should always have government involvement, because they're the ones that give planning permission to change the area. You might have EU funding, you may get corporate bodies, business bodies that will invest, but you may also get non-profit organisations or community groups, all of which want to be part of that place-making process and have a say, particularly if they are investing money into that place. This process can be fantastic and it can really change and develop a place, but sometimes you get groups of people who just don't like it. And I've put a picture of the IKEA buildings here because they really stand out. They have been quite controversial, and in some cities, some places, people contested these IKEA buildings because they don't fit in with the rest of the built environment. So sometimes even the best laid plans, best developed plans, people will contest and protest against them if it doesn't tie in with their perception of that place. 5C, making a successful place requires planning and design. Well, you need to think a little bit about that place, and as we've suggested already, architects and planners are going to be really key in thinking about that place. But there will be others involved too. And you need to think about your case studies. There are going to be different videos that will focus on case studies specifically for this, but you need to think about why the place needs to be rebranded, strategies that are involved in that, the players that are involved, how it's changed people's perceptions of it and whether they like it or contest it, and then how has it been successful. And again, we've got a couple of images here. We've got the digital city up in Manchester, a little bit of a before and after here, and that's really helped, particularly when we're looking at inequalities in the UK, relocating to Manchester and building up their digital placement. Take a minute, pause the video, have a little look at these key points. Green if you get it, amber if you're not sure, red if you need to go back and have a look again. Thanks for listening.